Hello, welcome. Hi, Renee.
Hey Tamara, how are you?
Good. We're here on May 17th for our HR Huddle, and Renee is with me today. Jen had a conflict and is doing other important things as well, so I'm glad Renee is with me today, and we thought we should come and talk about, so today's May 17th. For the tax people, that means the end of the deadline, and congratulations to those finishing that. Yes, exactly. Applause, finishing that her Herculean effort. And then I know there's just been a whole bunch of other projects and deadlines and client commitments. And I was talking to Emily on my team today, and we were talking about that. It's like we've just been like in this constant state of putting out fires. And now there's like all these embers that might be burning that we're still trying to stomp out and get done. And so we just thought it might be a good idea to step back and say, okay, how are we going to re-engage our team members as they come out of this and emerge, from these embers? And, we've talked in the past couple weeks about finding ways to make sure your people are re-energizing, making sure vacations are planned, scheduled, and supported, ways for them to be able to figure out how can, they, make sure that they have time this summer to be able to do that. What does that look like? But then also, what is next and what should we be doing to make sure that they're focusing on, priorities that are important to them and not just continue, I guess, business as usual, but to say, what should they be focusing on, and using some of those HR huddles and check-ins and questions to find out, what's next for them and how can we best support and empower them in moving that forward. So I think that's the setup, for today. And we have a few thoughts and ideas that we wanted to explore. But I think the big thing is, I guess, how do we re-engage our team? What does that look like in this environment that we're in, right now? So Renee, I know you had a couple thoughts on that. Anything you want to jump in and share right there?
Yeah, Tamara, I feel like we have to start with gratitude. Like right now, May 17th, and I know people are in different positions in the practice and not everybody had that May 17th deadline, but our people are a little tired. And so I would start with first just really showing some gratitude for this hard work that everyone did. You called it Herculean effort, and so rather than just diving right into the next thing, what are a few things that we could do to show some gratitude? And maybe that's, a little gift that we send out to people, or maybe that's handwritten notes, or maybe that's calling out something in particular that each person did that really helped us get there. There's so many ways that we can show gratitude, and I think that just goes such a long way with people. We talk all the time about the 9 professional motivators, and acknowledgement and feedback is one of those motivators. And not everybody puts it first, but a lot of people have it up there in their top, the top 4 maybe. And so just thinking about some little easy, simple things that we can do to show people some gratitude for their hard work. I think I would start there.
I think that's a great place to start. And I think it's very important just to acknowledge, it's been 15 months since the start of pandemic. Things have been shifting and changing continuously in our firms and with our clients, and which means priorities. And so, not to mention what we've talked about in previous huddles about people's personal lives, and those are continuing to shift and evolve. And now that we've got new updates with the mask mandates and the social distancing, and it's coming down from the federal government, and then each state is figuring out how to apply it, which then means each organization needs to say, how do we apply it? Gosh, there's a lot that's going to be happening over the summer, as we look at that, and, coming back in person for some, having the flexibility to not do so if they want to. So what does that look like? And I do think gratitude is important, just to say thank you for linking arms with us on this journey and for continuing to do so. And more patience is required and more flexibility will be required. But we can do it. We can make it through together. We've done so much already. And, let's just continue to hold our heads high and continue to progress. So I do think that's important. And then we talked about top 3 things last time. Renee, Jen and I talked about top 3 things with HR professionals and saying, what are your top 3 things? What are the top 3 things of the firm? How do they roll into there? I think that's a good conversation to have, with the team members also. What are the things they are focusing on next? What is that for them? And it could be a combination of, CPE learning. It could be a combination. We talked about conferences and making sure we're finding opportunities for our people to participate in conferences, especially since so many of them are virtual. It could be what's next for their learning from a client perspective, client service or technical perspective, or a specialty, area that they want to delve into. But I think that might be part of what I might do is, check in and find out, what is next for you? What do you want to be more involved in? What do you want to be less involved in or have less in your job? What does that look like? And how can I help you? How can I support you or help you achieve those things? And so I think that's important also, just to, find out and then help them prioritize and, figure out what that looks like.
Yeah, and you might have to have some ideas, like in your back pocket, Tamara, or something, thinking about what you think is next for them too. Sometimes it's interesting that people aren't really sure what they want to do next, or aren't really sure what they should be reaching for. And so I would also be looking at each of my people to think, what do I think is next for them? Of course, ask them. I love that idea, but also have some ideas in my back pocket to suggest. Yeah. Because we could get frustrated and say, like, I wish they knew what they wanted to do. And instead, some people just aren't sure, or they want to be of service. They aren't sure about if it's right to ask for what they want. But I do love where you're going, which is this kind of individualized approach, which was, as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, gosh, it would be easier if every one of my staff, they're in that level, maybe they have X number of years of experience, I would know what to point them towards next. But it doesn't really work like that, does it? I mean, we have to have this kind of generosity to have each one of them be unique, and then also to take the time to get to know them so that we can allow them to be unique and not have to just kind of group them together and make group plans for them. So I love that one size fits one idea.
Yes, exactly. Sure. I think it also, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to go back to the motivators for a minute, because I think if you aren't rating your people's motivators, if you've never done that exercise, we'd love to see you do that with your people. And that's a great way to get to know them and engage them, like understand what it would take to engage them by understanding what motivates them. And, we have an exercise form that we love to share, and we can put it out there on the Huddle so that people can pull it down if they want to, and some information about it. But that's a great way you rate your own motivators, and then you ask your team, hey, look, I'd like you to rate these motivators too. And the exercise form sets all that up, Tamara. So it explains how it works and what you need to be focused on. And then, we sit down together and we share those. And I would always let my other person go first, so I would let the staff person share theirs first and explain, there's no right answer here. These are just, what are the things that motivate you right now in your career? And then I'll share what the things are that motivate me. And it's like a getting to know you exercise. And then I can figure out, to your point, if someone's really motivated by professional development, I'm going to look for a conference or a learning opportunity for them. I can start to figure out, where do I put my effort and where do I get them more plugged in?
Yes. Well, and I think so if they say like technology is a motivator, I can say, what are we doing around technology, this summer, and how can I plug them in there? Or where maybe they could research, or, they know a great app, or they want to be part of a new team that we're forming because we're, shifting technologies or implementing some new technologies, which I know a lot of firms are. We should know who those people are. And we should, say, hey, that's great. That's perfect. Here's, how you can contribute. And so I think that's important from, when you think about an engagement perspective, is to, think about, how do we best deploy what their interests are, and make sure they're being fed, make sure they're being fulfilled, make sure they feel like they're growing. I think often we focus so much on what we need right now. We talk about in terms of hours. I know that's going to make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up when I say that. But we focus on, chargeable hours and number of clients and, all of those things. Important, have to get that done. That's what keeps our business going. But how can we weave some of those other things in to those deliverables, into those client commitments, into the technical growth that we have to have, so that, again, our team members feel like, gosh, I'm also being invested in. I'm all, there's this care and this concern about me growing and my interests in what I want to learn and what I want to develop and what I want to be involved in. And how can that forward the firm? How can that forward the firm's, top 3 things? But we have to intertwine them together. And sometimes it can just feel like, never ending, tax season, or never ending audits, or never ending consulting projects. Here's the next one. It's like we just keep going from the next to the next. And while we have to do that, it's how do we, pause and make sure we're integrating some of these other things too.
Yeah, I love that, Tamara. And it's making me think of our team call last Monday. If you remember, we had a strategic planning call with the whole team. And we were talking about what we're going to do this year and what our priorities are. And I remember you said, we have these unique roles at Convergence because we really believe in tasking people according to their strengths. And it would be easier if we just had a marketing person, a financial person, a consultant, and they didn't have these other hats that they had to wear. But that's, not, people want to get involved in things. And so we look to really task people according to their strengths where we can. And then obviously we also have to serve the organization. And I have to do the project list. It's not my favorite part of my job, but the organization needs it of me. So finding that balance. And we say oftentimes on our website, we really care about our team. We put our people first. But then when they have requests or when they want to try new things, we're like, yeah, not now. Go serve that client. Go get your billable hours, and we'll talk about that later. So I was thinking, as you were talking too, about having the talk and the actions fit, what we're saying about ourselves, which is if we really put our people first and we care about our people, then let's do that. Like, let's figure out where we can make concessions so that people can be more excited about what they do. Because ultimately, I think a lot of organizations right now, Tamara, are trying to figure out, and I'm going to take us to measures, which I'm scared about, but I think we should go there. Firms are trying to figure out, how am I going to get more out of my people?
Yes.
And I don't think it's by sending around that billable hours report. I just don't think that's, some people will pick up and work a little bit faster and a little bit harder to get more time in. But I wonder about getting people more excited. If that's not the way, that they're like kind of leaping out of bed to put their feet on the floor every morning because they can't wait to get in there and go and work on XYZ project, or go try a new client engagement, or go get to shadow somebody in business development. If, like, rounding out their roles with these other things isn't what gets them really excited, and you start getting more out of your people as a result.
Yes, I love it. Well, and finding their passion. What lights them up? What is going to get them going? What is going to re-energize them that they're going to look forward to? And maybe it's not the project list, but what does the project list lead to? You know what I mean? It's like, how do we tie it to that and have it be find the purpose in it, just to use your example. I love that. And I think you're right. We have to be careful that we're not just looking for how can we get more out of our people, and look at it maybe the opposite, look at it from the other side, and say, how can we have our people be lit up and inspired, and thereby they're going to give more? Because that is what happens when we're lit up and we're inspired and we love what we're doing and we love who we're working with, and we enjoy our clients, we're fulfilled, we're growing, we're acknowledged and appreciated, we do give more. And so instead of coming at it from the measures or the billable hours or whatever it is, to look and say, how can we come at it from the other perspective? And I think that might be important as HR professionals to have that conversation with your leaders and your managers. And I know review season is coming up. We talked a little bit about that in a prior huddle, and I just wrote a blog about it. And focus on, what the top priorities are. But in those huddles that you're having, in those discussions that you're having about, what's next from a career development perspective for your people, it's a great opportunity to then disclose, hey, Tamara's interested in learning more about business development and would like some opportunities to shadow, or Renee is extremely interested in technology and would love to be part of that team. If there's opportunities, how can we plug her in there and share that so other people know it? I can't just keep it to myself. I might know as her career coach or her career advisor, but I have to share that. So that's something we can facilitate, as the HR professionals is how do we get more exposure and more transparency about what people's passions are and what people are interested in and how we might be able to deploy them and leverage them in some of those areas that maybe we didn't know about. And again, that's kind of secretly, this is how we're going to get more from our people, but it's because they're lit up and they're contributing in places that they want to. So think about that as you're starting to have, these meetings and plan for these meetings, around career development and performance reviews. It's an ideal time to be having these conversations.
Yeah, and taking it up a level, maybe, Tamara, we might in those reviews just be looking at your engagement reviews, or we might just be talking about, how were your billable hours, or what kind of projects did you work on? And so instead, taking it up a level and then, like 10,000 feet and thinking about, well, where do you want to go next?
Right.
Where do you picture yourself? Where do you see yourself? I just think that would be an interesting discussion to have. And I wonder if some people aren't really comfortable with that discussion. If they don't know, because it is kind of uncertain. You don't know what the person is going to say or bring to that conversation. Maybe you don't have all the answers either. So it's pretty exploratory and maybe a little bit scary. So you're probably just asking a lot of questions.
Yes,
and just learning about each other. And maybe sharing about your own career journey or encouraging them to go talk to other people at their level who have taken that leap. Because I was thinking as you were talking too, Tamara, there's a lot of that is about context. Like I'm just cranking out the work. I'm heads down doing that project list and not thinking about the fact that that's what keeps us all on track so that we can get these deliverables done so that we can serve our clients and make a difference for our clients. So I could be missing that connection, that context. And so that's what we as career managers or people managers can provide for people. It's like, lift your eyes up to the horizon and realize the importance of the work that you're doing. So there's a little bit of like gratitude in there and a little bit of thank you, but also just helping you see like it does matter. It's not just some check the box. That's what the project list can feel like to me, just to keep going back to my own example. It's like just something I have to do. Like, who cares, And I have to realize it matters. So sometimes we need other people to help us make that connection. To see
purpose.
It matters. The purpose. There you go.
Yeah. And so context, purpose. And I do think we could do a better job of that and say, why are we doing this? And how is it making a difference? And how does it, feed to that big picture? Whether it's how does this help the client, or how does this make us better as an organization, or how does it make our team collaborate better? What's the reason or the why or the purpose? We talk about engagement. So if we're going to re-engage people, purpose, empowerment, belonging, right? So how do we figure out and tie back that context and that purpose and the empowerment? I might ask a whole bunch of questions that I don't have answers to, but I can empower people by going and finding out. I can go have the conversations now that I know what the answers are. I can say, I don't know about, the IT to go back to that, or I don't know about who to best shadow. I have some ideas, but let's go talk to them. I'm going to go talk to these 3 people. You talk to these 2 people, and let's come back together and we'll make a plan. And so we can figure that out together, and we can, again, empower them. I think that's super important, for us to do that. And then I want to underscore your point that maybe our career advisors or managers or coaches are not as comfortable asking those questions. They want to check the box. They want to do engagement reviews, things that they're comfortable with. And so we have to give them those questions and give them permission not to have the answer. and say exactly what you just said. It is exploratory. And so that might be something as, again, we're, planning for, check-ins and huddles. We're planning for these performance reviews and career development discussions that, part of our job is to go find out. And then we're going to figure out, how do we make that work? And what can we do now? What is later? Who do we need to be in contact with? And, we're orchestrating this puzzle, if you will, and putting the pieces together. And that's our job as their career coach or their career advisor, is to figure out how to do that. So I think it's important to underscore that and help people get comfortable with that and have permission to be, comfortable with that and try it, and come back and say, this is how my first couple conversations went. I got to go have 2 more. Am I on track? Am I off track? This didn't work. This didn't feel comfortable. And I can run it by you. I think that's a great role that, HR professionals can play.
Well, and also, Tamara, and I know we're getting close to time here, but sending out some scripts, like in little bits and pieces, sending out articles or ideas or maybe the tip of the week to connect with your team members.
Yeah.
So that, because they are busy, those career managers still are going to be managing clients. They have lots of projects they're working on themselves. So giving them little bits and pieces of information that they can go and put into action, I think would be really powerful for them.
I think so. I think that's great. So think about, what are we going to do to re-engage our team, this summer as we wrap up deadlines, as we wrap up projects, and what's next, and have those conversations and ask lots of questions. Let us know if you have questions as you embark on doing so. And I saw that Emily posted the 9 motivators out there that you can email us at info@, and she'll send it to you. So go ahead and do that if you'd like more information about that. So have a great day. Have a good week, and we will plan on seeing you next Monday. Thanks for joining us today on today's HR Huddle.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tamara.
Thank you.